Hey friend, please subscribe. 1 second for you. Big deal for me.
Felt like my luck finally turned. I had no clue what storm that money was about to stir up. My name's Darren. I'm 56 years old. Been running HVAC jobs around Southwest Missouri for over 30 years now. 2 kids in college and an ex-wife who left when the recession hit and work dried up. That was 5 years ago, and I've been scrapping by ever since. About a month back, I finished a brutal job down in Branson. Middle of July, 105 degrees, and I'd been in an attic all afternoon. Sweat through my shirt, hands cramping from holding a flashlight in my mouth while swapping out a busted compressor. I stopped at this beat-up gas station off Route 60, just looking to cool off and grab a cold drink. As I was checking out, I saw this scratch-off display next to the register. Had a $10 bill in my wallet, just enough for gas, but I figured hell with it. Treat myself. I grabbed one of those shiny red $30K a week for life cards. Scratched it with my truck key while standing outside in the shade. First number matched, then the second. My stomach flipped. I stared at the row again, slower this time. My hands were actually shaking. And then I saw the prize amount, $1,200,000 lump sum payout. I thought it had to be a misprint, some kind of screw-up. I stood there leaning against my truck, sweat drying on my back, staring at the damn ticket like it was a trap. I called Clay, my old buddy from high school. He's one of the only people who's never asked me for anything. I told him I needed him to come out to the station and bring his reading glasses. 20 minutes later, we were sitting on my tailgate in silence, passing the ticket back and forth like it might explode. We didn't even talk for the first 15 minutes, just sat there listening to cicadas, Clay's old mutt barking in his truck bed. Then finally he said, "Well, damn." After that, it was a blur. I drove straight to Springfield, signed the claim papers at the lottery office, and opted for the lump sum. After taxes, it came out to about $690,000. I didn't tell anyone except Clay and a financial guy he recommended. Some young hotshot in a strip mall office, but sharp. He helped me move the money into a couple of places I don't fully understand, but trust enough to sleep at night. For once, I thought, maybe things were going to be okay. But that was before the wolves started sniffing around. Turns out blood ain't thicker than a jackpot. 2 days after the win hit the local paper, not the amount, just the fact I'd won. I got a call from a number I hadn't seen in years. "Hey, big guy. Long time, huh?" It was Dean, my ex-brother-in-law. The same guy who once borrowed my weed eater and never brought it back. The same guy who disappeared every time we needed help moving something or fixing a leak. "Dean?" I said, already regretting answering. "Man, I heard the news. Congrats," he said, dragging out the word like it hurt to say. "You always were a lucky son of a gun." I didn't say anything, just waited. "So listen," he continued, all syrupy and casual. "I was thinking maybe this is a good time for us to reconnect. You know, as family." I almost laughed. "We're not family, Dean. Remember? Divorce tends to do that." He chuckled like I was joking. "Aw, come on. You'll always be Uncle Darren to my kids. And hey, I've got this heating business I'm trying to grow. Just need a little jump start. Maybe $100,000 or so. Could turn it into something big." For the family, there it was. Not even a full minute into the call. "Not lending money right now," I said. Kept my voice calm. Polite. The change in his tone was instant. "Really? After all those Christmases at our house? All those meals you mooched off my parents? You gonna act like we never did anything for you?" I blinked. "You mean your mom's green bean casserole and those folding chairs you borrowed from the church basement?" That ended the call. Next day, my daughter called. Haley. She's 20, smart, good head on her shoulders, but her voice was shaky. "Dad, Grandma said you're turning your back on the family. Is that true?" I sighed. "What are you talking about?" She sniffled. "She said you wouldn't help Uncle Dean and that maybe we needed to rethink who's really there for us." I stood in my kitchen, staring at the old linoleum floor, the same one I'd patched up after her mom left. "They said that to you?" I asked. She hesitated. "They're saying a lot, Dad. They said maybe I should, try spending more time with you. get close again, so I can talk to you about everything. I felt my stomach drop. Haley, look at me, I said, even though we were on the phone. Are they asking you to spy on me? Or get money from me? Silence. Then she whispered, Grandma said, sometimes it takes a daughter to remind a father of his obligations. I sat down hard in the chair by the kitchen table, the same one I used to sit in when she brought home crayon drawings from school. I'm so sorry, Dad, she said, voice breaking. I didn't know what to do. You did the right thing calling me. She was quiet for a while. Then, they think you owe them. They're wrong, I said. I gave this family everything I had. When I was broke, I still showed up. I still fixed their furnaces, still drove your mom to doctor's appointments, still helped Dean move that damn pool table. Haley let out a tiny laugh through her tears. That stupid pool table. Exactly, I said. They want a cut of something they never helped build. I don't care about the money, she said. I just want you to know I'm not with them. Not like that. I know, I said. And I love you for it. But the truth was, I felt something shifting. Like the ground underneath me was cracking just a little. I'd been alone for a while, but this was something new. I thought it was over when I divorced their daughter. Turns out they still expected a cut. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I was off early after finishing a job in Neosho, took the long way home, even stopped at a roadside produce stand to grab some sweet corn. I pulled into my driveway, humming to myself, and there they were. 4 people standing on my porch like they'd been posing for a picture. My ex-wife, Carla, her brother, Dean, their mom, who still insisted I call her Miss Patty, like we were in a Southern drama, and their dad, Harold, who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else, but was too spineless to say no. I hadn't spoken to Carla in almost a year. Now she was on my porch, arms crossed, like she owned the place. You got a minute? She said. I guess I do now, I said, unlocking the door. Come on in, if you're going to do this on my porch either way. They shuffled in like they belonged there, sat themselves down in my living room, Patty on the couch, Harold in my recliner without even asking, Dean leaning against the wall with his arms crossed like some tough guy. Carla stayed standing. Harold cleared his throat. We just want to help you make smart choices, Darren. I raised an eyebrow. Smart choices? Is that what this is? Patty leaned forward like we were in a church meeting. Dean has a vision, a real plan, but he needs help getting it off the ground. This could benefit everyone. Dean nodded like a bobblehead. I'm not asking for a handout. I'm offering an opportunity. I stared at them. Y'all really rehearsed this, huh? Carla finally spoke. This doesn't have to be hostile. We're here because we care. And maybe... She paused, glancing around like she was choosing her words carefully. Maybe we didn't always show that in the past, but this is your chance to make things right. Make things right? I asked. What exactly did I do wrong? Patty's voice cracked. You're sitting on money that could change this family's future. My future too, I said, which nobody seemed too worried about 5 years ago when I was eating dinner alone with duct-taped boots. Dean rolled his eyes. You're being bitter. You're damn right I am, I said, standing up. 30 years of busting my back while you folks sat around and judged me. Now I finally catch a break, and you want me to play bank. Harold stood slowly. Think about the kids, Darren. Your grandkids. That hit a nerve. You mean the grandkids I haven't even met? The ones I send birthday cards to that never get replied to? Carla stepped forward. Don't bring the kids into this. Harold raised a hand. All we're saying is, if you choose not to share, don't expect to be part of their lives. My jaw clenched. The room got quiet. Even Dean stopped pretending to be cool. There it was, the threat. I looked around the room, my old brown armchair, the ceiling fan humming softly, the stale scent of the lemon cleaner I'd used that morning, and 4 people who used to be my family, now sitting here treating me like a prize to be split up. No, I said, not now. Not ever. I don't owe you a damn thing. Patty's eyes welled up. We just want to see you do right. I've done nothing but do right, I said, voice low. I took care of Carla when she had nothing. I helped Dean out more times than I can count. And you— I looked straight at Patty. You called me family until the day the checks stopped. Dean muttered, You'll die alone with that money. I laughed, sharp and dry. Better alone than surrounded by beggars. That was it. I opened the front door and motioned toward it. You can leave now. They stood slowly, one by one, like they were shocked I hadn't folded. Harold was the last to walk out. At the door he turned back and said, This isn't the end, Darren. Just remember, family remembers who gave and who didn't. I didn't answer. I just closed the door behind them. Then I locked it. And I stood there, staring at that doorknob, thinking about how far gone you have to be to weaponize grandkids over a check. They thought I'd cave. Instead, I showed them the door. The voicemails started that night. The first was from Patty, her voice trembling like she'd just watched a soap opera finale. Darren, sweetheart, I don't know what's gotten into you, but we love you. We just want you to think about what's best for everyone. Then came Dean's. You think you're some kind of king now? Sitting on your high horse with your scratch-off millions? You're a joke, man. A selfish, bitter old joke. By morning, I had 6 messages. By lunch, a dozen. They ranged from polite concern to full-on rage. One even ended with Dean screaming something about legal action, which was rich, considering the guy couldn't spell LLC if it was tattooed on his arm. They didn't stop there. They started calling Haley, my daughter. She called me up, voice tight, clearly trying not to cry. Dad, I'm sorry, but Grandma and Uncle Dean won't stop calling. They keep saying you're tearing the family apart. I sighed, leaning back in my chair, staring out the kitchen window. What do you think, kiddo? You think I'm tearing anything apart? She was quiet for a long time. Then, number. I think you're the only one who ever held it together. That hit me harder than anything else that week. They say you won't help Uncle Dean, she added more gently. Is that true? I didn't hesitate. That's true. He's not my responsibility, Haley. I worked 30 years and came out with nothing. This win? This is the first thing that's gone my way, and I'm not giving it to the guy who never lifted a finger unless there was a beer in it. She sniffled. I get it, I do, but Grandma said if I don't try harder with you, she might cut me off. I felt a pulse of heat in my chest. She said that? She said maybe I should take some time to think about where my loyalties lie. Jesus, I muttered, pressing a hand to my forehead. I don't want to choose, Dad. I hate this. You don't have to choose, I said. But I do. And I'm choosing not to be a wallet for people who didn't give a damn about me until I got lucky. She didn't say anything. I heard her breathing on the other end, soft and shaky. Haley, I said, voice low, you know I love you, right? This money doesn't change that. I know, she said. I just wish they did. The next 2 days passed in a haze. I kept my phone on silent. Got a call from Clay who told me, Man, they're asking around town. Like, asking strangers if you're okay. It's getting weird. I laughed, but it wasn't funny. I was starting to feel watched, paranoid. Then I came home Thursday night. The first thing I noticed was the porch light was off. I always leave it on. Always. I stepped up to the door and froze. It was unlocked. I knew for a fact I'd locked it that morning. I never forget. Habit drilled into me after years of leaving for jobs before sunrise. I pushed the door open slow. The air inside smelled burnt. Not like firewood or a stove accident, like plastic and paper. The living room light was on. I stepped in, heartbeat thudding. Then I saw them. Carla and Dean standing by the fireplace. Dean was holding a metal trash can, the kind I use for ash. Flames flickered up from inside it, licking the edges of something big and square. What the hell? Dean turned, smirking. Just cleaning out some trash. Inside the can, half burned and curling at the edges, was my novelty check. The oversized fake one from the lottery office, the one with balloons and my name and the words lump sum winner in red ink. "That's what you get for turning your back on your own," he said. I stared at them. Then I laughed. Couldn't help it. Full, angry laugh that came from deep in my chest. "That check," I said. "That thing? It's a damn souvenir. A propriedad. You just set fire to a piece of foam board." Carla's face twisted. "You're lying." "Nope," I said, pulling out my phone. "The real money's in a private account, transferred weeks ago. You burned a picture, not a payday." They just stood there, watching the flames flicker down into nothing. I didn't shout, didn't threaten. I just dialed the police. Because quiet anger, that's the kind they never see coming. When the cops pulled up, Dean and Carla were still standing in my living room, like they were deciding whether to run or play dumb. I didn't yell. I didn't need to. I just opened the door and waved the officers in. "Evening," I said. "I'd like to report a break-in." The younger officer's eyes narrowed. "Did they force entry?" "Nope," I said. "They used to have a key. Guess I never changed the locks after the divorce." Carla scoffed. "We're not criminals, Darren. This is overreaction at its finest." The other cop, an older guy with a calm voice, turned to Dean. "Sir, did you enter this home without permission?" Dean shoved his hands in his pockets. "We were just stopping by. Wanted to talk." I pointed to the trash can, still smoldering. "You lit a fire in my living room, with my name on it." The older cop gave Dean a long look. "We'll need to document this." Carla turned to me, voice suddenly soft. "Darren, come on. It wasn't even real. You said it yourself. That check was fake. A souvenir." "Still mine," I said. "Still my property. Still burned in my house." Dean stepped forward. "Look, man, you made your point. You've been clear. But don't you think you're taking it a little far?" I tilted my head. "Let me ask you something, Dean. If I showed up at your house with a lighter and a trash can and started torching your kids' soccer trophies, how far would that be?" He didn't answer. "The officers asked me if I wanted to press charges. I said no. Not yet. Just get it on record." They took statements, wrote everything down, and finally, the four of us stood on my front lawn in silence while the cop cars idled by the curb. Patty and Harold pulled up halfway through, probably tipped off by a text. Patty stepped out of the car, her face drawn and pale. "Darren, can we talk?" I shook my head. "Nope, we're done talking." She looked heartbroken, like I'd betrayed her. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in the garage, staring at the Impala I'd just started restoring, and thought about all the ways this could have gone. They thought they were ruining me, but they didn't know I was 10 steps ahead. Next morning, I called Clay and told him everything. By noon, I had new locks installed, security cameras ordered, and a meeting with my lawyer. That Friday, the cease and desist letters went out. One for Carla, one for Dean. Both official, notarized, and served by a courier in a crisp shirt and mirrored sunglasses. I moved fast after that. Rented a condo on the other side of town, set up a private mailbox, and opened a burner phone just for legal and financial stuff. My new address? No one had it but Clay and my lawyer. It was like going into witness protection, except instead of hiding from criminals, I was hiding from family. Haley called the next day. "Grandma's going nuts," she said. "Says you've lost your mind." I laughed. "Funny. I feel the most sane I've been in years." She was quiet. Then, "Can I stay with you for a while?" I didn't expect that. "Things that bad over there?" "I'm tired of the guilt trips," she said. "Every time I say something good about you, they twist it. Grandma said I was being manipulated, that you're just trying to bribe me with peace of mind." "Peace of mind," I repeated. "That's rich." So she came. Packed a duffel bag and showed up 2 days later with tired eyes and a hug that lasted longer than I expected. We ate frozen pizza on paper plates that night, watched a rerun of some cooking show and didn't talk about any of it. The quiet was better than therapy. I kept working with my lawyer, moved most of the money into an LLC with limited access, and made sure every dime was traceable, secure, and untouchable. They tried to mess with my freedom, so I buried them in paperwork instead. And the best part? A week later, I heard Dean's business filed for bankruptcy. Credit score in the toilet, trucks repossessed, website down. I didn't gloat. I didn't call him. I just smiled to myself, flipped the light off in the garage, and walked back inside to silence. The kind of silence that money can't buy, but being done with the wrong people can. After the fire, after the cops, after the lawyers. I thought maybe that'd be the end of it. But peace doesn't come easy when you've spent your whole life surrounded by people who think your back pocket is their emergency fund. I did everything right after the break-in, filed the report, logged the cease and desist letters, got the locks changed, cameras installed, even switched banks entirely. Then I sat down with my lawyer, Clay's guy, and said, "I want every dime locked behind walls they'll never get through." He nodded like he'd been waiting for me to say that. We formed an LLC, Darren HVAC Holdings. Sounds like a fake company on a detective show, but it's real. The money moved through there now, invested, protected, diversified. My lawyer set up accounts that required two-step authentication, private contact info, and an actual key fob for certain transfers. He grinned and said, "They'd have to kidnap you just to check the balance." Perfect. I also had him draft a formal notice. Any further contact from Carla or Dean, verbal or written, would be treated as harassment. No more vague threats or emotional blackmail, I said. They want something, they can talk to a judge. I rented a condo across town. Newer place, top floor, good security, quiet neighbors who don't know a damn thing about me. I set up a private mailbox under a corporate alias, turned off my old number, and gave Haley a separate phone just for reaching me. A prepaid burner I kept in the glove box of my truck. Clay helped me move my old truck off the insurance grid and into the LLC's name. It was stupidly complicated, but it meant one more thing out of reach from anyone looking to borrow it. One night, a week after the move, I sat out on the tiny balcony of the condo with a cold beer and no sound but the faint hum of crickets and a train in the distance. That's when Haley came out. She was still in sweats, hair up, no makeup, and somehow looked more like herself than I'd seen in years. She sat down next to me, pulled her knees up and stared into the dark. "Grandma texted me again," she said. "Said if I'm not willing to stand up for family, then I shouldn't bother coming around for Christmas." I took a long sip of beer. That's their choice. "She called you a coward," Haley added. "Said you're hiding behind lawyers instead of being a man." I laughed. That's rich coming from someone who hides behind casseroles and guilt. She smiled faintly. "You okay?" I paused before answering. I don't know if I've ever been okay before now. Haley nodded, then rested her head on my shoulder. "I'm proud of you, Dad." That almost got me. No lecture, no questions, no half-hearted defense of her mom's side. Just those words. I swallowed the lump in my throat. "You staying long?" She shrugged. "Till school starts up again. Maybe longer. You're always welcome here." She turned her head. "You know what Grandma said when I told her I was staying with you?" I raised an eyebrow. "Dare I ask?" "She said you were manipulating me with comfort and silence. That you were trying to turn me against them." "Wow," I muttered. The horror. A man gives his kid a clean bed and peace of mind. Call the FBI. We sat there in the dark, no TV, no buzzing phones, just the quiet that had cost me so damn much to finally earn. I didn't feel rich. I felt safe. And that was better. Dean's business collapsing was the cherry on top. I got the notice in the mail the next day. His HVAC license revoked, truck fleet repossessed, Yelp page flooded with one-star reviews. Turns out the family's favorite son-in-law didn't know how to run a business without other people's money. I didn't dance on his grave. But I did smile when I paid off the last of my mortgage and signed the truck title back over to myself. Clean slate. No more freeloaders, no more second chances. Just me, my daughter, and a life that finally belonged to us. It's funny how money doesn't make the noise people expect. No slot machines ringing. No champagne corks. Just Silence. I paid off my mortgage first. That old brick house I nearly lost twice in the 2000s. Gone from the bank's hands. Then my truck. Nothing fancy, just a beat-up Ram I've had since Haley was in middle school. Still runs like a champ. After that, I surprised both kids by wiping out their student loans. I didn't make a show of it. Just sent each of them an envelope with the loan statement stamped paid in full. Haley cried. My son Travis didn't say much, but he started calling more after that. I didn't do it to win anyone back. I just didn't want them to start life with the same weight on their backs that I had. With what was left, I met with my lawyer and quietly set up a scholarship fund at my old trade school. HVAC certification isn't cheap, and a lot of guys like me, guys who don't test well or can't sit still in a classroom, never get the chance. I didn't put my name on it, just anonymous donor. I liked it that way. Life slowed down after that. I started fishing again. Early mornings on Stockton Lake, thermos of coffee, Clay in the passenger seat of the boat, both of us too old to care about catching anything. And in my garage, I finally got serious about the '68 Impala. I'd had it since before the divorce. It sat for years under a tarp. Engine pulled but never rebuilt. Now I had time, tools, peace. Clay came over a few days a week to help. We'd crack beers, put on old Creedence tapes, and get greasy until our backs gave out. The real joy wasn't in the car. It was in knowing no one was going to knock on my door asking for a favor anymore. I was nobody's plan B. The only real project I took on, the only one that felt right, was a little side hustle Clay and I dreamed up over beers. Teaching HVAC to veterans trying to transition into the trades. Free classes in the back room of an old VFW hall. Just us and a whiteboard showing them the basics. Duct sizing, pressure drops, how to not electrocute yourself. One guy cried after getting his first job offer. Said it was the first time in years he felt like someone believed in him. That kind of stuff stays with you. Haley still stayed at the condo off and on. She started talking about med school. Said she wanted to help people the way I helped her. Not with money, she said one night while eating leftover barbecue on the couch, but with grit. That got me. Even got a dog, a rescue mutt named Hank. He snores like a freight train and sheds like it's his job, but he's good company. Follows me around like I'm the only thing that ever made sense to him. One afternoon, I was sitting on the back porch with Hank snoring at my feet, flipping through the mail, mostly bills and junk, when I saw it. A plain white envelope, no return address. Inside, one sheet of paper, a letter, from Dean, handwritten. It started with, "I'm sorry." Said he was broke, that he'd burned too many bridges, said he didn't expect anything from me, just wanted me to know he'd messed up, that he saw it now. I sat there, holding that letter in one hand, my other scratching Hank behind the ears. Didn't know what I felt. Sad? Number angry? Not really. Just tired. I folded it up, stuck it back in the envelope, and slid it in the drawer. Maybe people can change. But I'd stopped betting on maybes. Dean's letter sat in that drawer for 2 days before I pulled it out again. No money talk, he'd written. Just a sit down. Closure, he called it. I read that line over and over. Closure. Like he'd finally figured out he wasn't getting a dime and now wanted to play humble. But something in his handwriting, that shaky, uneven scrawl, told me this wasn't one of his usual stunts. So I said yes. We met at a diner just outside of town, not the one in the middle of everything, where Carla's parents might show up. This was the kind with squeaky booths and sun-faded menus, where no one cared who you were or what drama you dragged in. Dean was already there when I walked in, sitting alone at a corner table, hands folded, no food in front of him. He looked bad, thinner, hollow in the cheeks, like someone who'd been sleeping in his truck or on someone's couch. He stood when I reached the table. "Thanks for coming." I nodded and sat down. Neither of us spoke for a minute. A waitress came by and poured me coffee without asking. Dean finally cleared his throat. I was wrong. I sipped my coffee. Let him say what he needed to. I thought, he looked down at the table, I thought if I pushed hard enough, guilted you enough, you'd give in. You always used to. I didn't answer. He kept going. But that was never about money. It was about control. I didn't even realize that until I lost everything. I leaned back. What happened? He gave a half laugh. What didn't? Business dried up, equipment repossessed, credit tanked. Carla stopped talking to me after the cease and desist. I had to move into my buddy's garage. He looked up at me, and for the first time since I'd known him, he didn't look smug or entitled. He just looked tired. "I'm not asking for anything," he said quickly, like he could see the suspicion rising in my face. "Not money, not help. I just wanted to say I get it now. I get why you cut us off." I studied him, tried to see if this was another performance. But there was no script this time, no rehearsed pitch. "You ruined your own chance," I said, keeping my voice calm. "All I ever asked was for people to treat me with respect, not like a walking ATM." "I know," he said, nodding. "I thought you'd never say no, and when you did, I lost it. I hurt Haley. I hurt you. I hurt everyone." We sat there in the silence for a minute. The waitress brought Dean a water. He didn't touch it. "I'm not asking for forgiveness," he added. "Just maybe you'll think of me as a man who finally learned something." I looked at him. I believed him. Maybe not all the way, but enough to know he wasn't faking it this time. "I hope you figure it out," I said. "For real. Not for show." He nodded, almost like he was relieved I didn't chew him out. "Thanks." He didn't ask for anything else. He paid for his water, walked out alone. I sat there for a while after he left, let my coffee go cold, then I got in my truck and drove home. The next morning, the phone rang. It was Carla. I hadn't heard her voice in almost a year. "Hey," she said. Just that one word, soft and uncertain. I waited. "I heard about your meeting with Dean," she said. "He told me what he said, that you listened." Silence on my end. "I was wondering," she continued, "if maybe we could talk sometime." I closed my eyes for a second. Maybe people can change, but I don't bet on it. It's been a year since the ticket. I'm still in the condo, still working on the '68 Impala, which finally runs smooth enough to take on the back roads without rattling my teeth loose. I fish a couple mornings a week, drink my coffee slow, and walk Hank around the complex where he's become something of a local celebrity. Haley got into med school. First try. Full scholarship. Said the essay she wrote about me cracked open something in the admissions board. I never asked to read it. She just hugged me tight and said, "You're the reason I know what resilience looks like." Travis visits more now, too. He's got a girl. Serious one. They both came over last month and helped repaint my kitchen. I didn't ask. They just showed up with rollers and sandwiches. Life is quiet, and I like it that way. The money's still there, working for me, not the other way around. Most days I forget it exists. The funny thing? I'm richer in silence than I ever was in dollars. And for the first time in a long, long while, nothing dramatic's happened. No knocks at the door, no begging voicemails. Just peace. Then came the knock. Not loud, not angry, just a knock. I opened the door expecting a neighbor, maybe a delivery. Instead, it was Carla. She looked different. Older, maybe. Not worn down, just real. No makeup, no script. "Can we talk?" she asked. I stepped outside, closing the door behind me. She smiled faintly. "I'm not here to rehash anything. I just wanted you to know I've been going to therapy." That surprised me. "I used to think it was you who ruined everything," she said. "But I see now, it was me. All of us. We treated you like a resource, not a person." I didn't respond, just let her talk. "I'm not asking for anything," she added. "But Haley told me about the scholarship, the veterans program, the trade school fund. She said you never put your name on any of it." I nodded. She took a deep breath. "I started volunteering, part-time, with foster kids. Figured it was time I gave something instead of took." And then she handed me something. A Polaroid. Haley, Travis, and Carla. All three of them. arms around each other, smiling in front of my Impala. On the back, Haley had written in marker, "Family, the way it's supposed to be. Come find us when you're ready." I looked up. Carla was already walking away. I stood there, stunned, with the picture in my hand. And for the first time since winning the lottery, I cried. Not because I was angry, not because I was hurt, but because, maybe for once, the ending wasn't bitter. It was just real and good. And maybe, finally, mine.
YouTube picked this for you. Tap it. Let's see if they guessed right.